Working.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah. So it's working.
Excellent.
Hey, good morning.
Yay. Hello, good morning. We love technology.
We love December 1st. Welcome to Thursdays with Culture Talk Live, Thursdays Live. It's 9:04. We were supposed to be live a couple minutes ago. We had a little tech issue, but we're happy that it's working now. And I'm Cynthia Forsman. I'm one of the co-founders of Culture Talk. I'm really excited today to welcome Sol Abram. Sol's joining us from Buenos Aires, Argentina, and has been one of our Culture Talk certified partners since January 2021. In a minute, we're going to jump into her background and hear a story about a company that she has taken through a culture process using Culture Talk. But just if you're new to this conversation or Culture Talk, we are a platform of assessments and methodologies that use a framework that we call Archetype. And if that word is new to you, it's just a fancy way of saying story, human story, which sounds simple, but it's incredibly powerful in terms of how we can use it to shift people, leaders, teams, and entire organizations. So welcome. Sol, let me kick off with you and tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got where you are today.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you everyone who's there joining us. Well, my name is Solange Abraham, but everybody calls me Sol, so that's why this is a very important situation for me. I love being here joining this Culture Talk conversation. I love Culture Talk. I'm like an ambassador for the mythology since I first got to know the system. I love it. Well, I have a degree on political science. I am a fitness and dance coach. I used to be a hip hop dancer. And on the other hand, I am also ontological coach. And this weird combination, let me started about 12 years ago in culture, in organizational culture. And that's, the space where I feel comfortable, where I feel I have something to give different to the world and to the people. That's how I live my professional life nowadays. So luckily I jumped in a bunch of people that introduced me to this world of culture, of people, of understanding from another point of view the organizations that everybody, the place where you spend most of the days, the place where you work. So how can we make that space a better place for the people? So that's what I do since I'm 26. Now I'm 38. So.
All right. Well, you didn't have to share, but we love it.
Oh, yes. I'm very open with my age.
You have worked both in as an outside consultant, working with clients on culture issues, and now you're in-house in a new role as the organizational culture manager at Telecentro. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
And I know when you and I met, you were one of the people who had such an immediate connection with Archetype.
Definitely.
And the stories that we use. Tell us what your archetypes are.
My archetypal profile is innocent, creator, magician, and jester at the same level as magician. So I normally bring it as well in the conversation. And you know what? I love my archetypal profile. I loved the moment I did the survey. I enjoyed the moment, the experience, each of the sentences I had to answer and everything. I loved it. and I connected right away with the results, with the stories that were behind the archetypes as well.
Yeah.
I could resonate with them as well. So it was very, very powerful, very powerful. And that's why I am such a, I I love telling people how powerful the survey is and how powerful the mythology is. That it's very not only useful, but it's incredibly, it's creative and emotionally connected to every person's story as well.
I know even in the class that you were in, people were, when they heard your profile, they were like, oh, I see it. I see it in the energy that you bring to the conversation, the optimism you bring to the workplace, the, idea, like kind of all of those things coming together in your profile. So
yes, I remember that.
Just because you're revealing, I am also high creator. And then I combine that in my profile with lover and caregiver. So you're starting to hear, the conversation's new, you're starting to hear some stories, the names of archetypes, and already they may be familiar to you. But what I want to focus on today, Sol, is a company that you were working with, financial services company. They were expanding across South America, and they acquired a company that you got to work with that was based in Colombia.
Yeah.
And while it looked like it was going to be an awesome extension of the business, that those business models really had a fit, behind the scenes, things weren't working so well. And we might call like what was going on? What was going on?
Well, luckily sorry, by the way, because I am so, the way I am, I also call Cynthia Sin. So she calls me Sol, I call her Sin. So that's it. I would just wanted to say that. So #Sol, #Sin. Yes. So what happened there was that luckily there is, because he's still there, very intelligent, intuitive HR director who could see right away the need to work on the culture, the need to develop and design an organizational culture that would resonate with the business model they wanted to develop, and that could help the organization thrive and find its own way. But because they came from different places culture-wise, the acquired company and the startup that was starting from the expansion of this very important financial company in Central America, there was a need to have a common language, right? To share a common language, to understand where they came culture-wise with the proper words, that nobody would feel, underestimated or under attack, or on the other hand, overestimated. So there had to be a common ground from where to start building and designing the culture that they wanted to develop and to see in this new company, that the junction of the two were going to be.
Okay, so it was this HR manager who said,
genius HR manager. I cannot mention him, but he knows that I think of him very, very much.
Okay. And I know that you first introduced him to the archetypes by having him take a CultureTalk for Individuals assessment.
Yes. So that was my proposal, because he has a background on psychology, and he knew about the archetypes. He knew about Carl Jung. So it was easy for him to talk about it, and he connected right away. But on the other hand, I really wanted him to have the experience, to have the results, and to read the report on his own archetypal profile. So he said yes, of course, right, right away, and he did it, and he validated the results. He felt that they were talking about him.
Uh-huh.
So he decided that, well, he agreed on doing the survey for the organization, but this was a very important, not a turning point, but yes, like an adding or like an additional aspect in order to then help the whole organization going through the process. Sorry, by the way, I only speak in English once a month with Cynthia, so I might struggle with words and structures, so I'm sorry for that.
Great.
Let's be patient.
You're doing great, because your points are totally coming across. And so I'll just recap. So he already was familiar with archetypes. You shared an assessment with him so he could have that same experience you did when you went through and like looked at your own profile. And even though he already knew he needed to design a culture, he already knew that the culture was the issue to why this, new venture wasn't taking off in the way that they anticipated. You opened him to this idea of we could use these same storylines, these same archetypes as a way of creating that common ground in the culture.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So we ran the survey after this.
But before we did that, we got it, we had to translate. It was already translated into Spanish, but we did on a real fine tuning of the Spanish translation of the Culture Talk for Organizations assessment. So you proposed to him to do a baseline culture audit using that assessment tool.
Yes. And I remember how we worked in detail on the words, in Spanish and everything. I think we did a great job, Cynthia. That's what I think. And it was very good, because words words aren't innocent. The way that people read the sentences in the baseline survey, right?
Yeah, you can call it that. Yeah.
It's very important for the way they understand, right, and then answer accordingly.
Right. So using the Culture Talk for Organizations was one piece of the effort that you and your team were running. What else did you do to support that?
Yes, absolutely. Because this was a cultural assessment, all in all, like a 360 cultural assessment. So we ran the survey for the whole organization, but on the other hand, we did individual interviews, which were more like it gave us a more a better understanding, more profound, a deeper understanding of the experience people were having, right, in the organization, whether they came from the former financial organization or if they were new to the organization. So that was very important to understand the experience they were having, why they joined the company, how they were living the merger and acquisition. So we needed to understand that. And we also did focus groups. And the challenge of doing focus groups was what type or what kind of questions or activities do we want to do? Do we want to run during these focus groups in order to match the results that we're going to have with the report as in CultureTalk and with the archetypes? Because of course I knew how the report was going to be, not the results itself, not the profile, but I knew where it would take us. So the design of the focus group groups was very important. So we used pictures we used a group, a selection of pictures, so people could describe the culture, that how they were living the organization. So this was very easy then to match with the results, with the archetypes they actually got, and also with the interviews. So we did this sort of 360 analysis of all the information we had, including the survey results.
Yeah. So the survey provides sort of a measure of archetype patterns, right? How much do people agree that certain patterns and behaviors are common and rewarded in the organization? And then through the focus groups and surveys, you're collecting all those. I love that you use the word experience. Like, what's the real experience of being here?
Yeah.
Because that, in so many ways, that's the culture. Like, and it's hard to find, as you said, the right words, and those words all have power.
Yeah.
So now you're taking all of that data, and what was the profile of the company? Do you mind? The archetype profile, what happened with that? Like, what was that reveal?
It was incredible. The archetypal profile of the company was hero, in the first place.
Okay.
And the supporting archetypes were sage, lover, and we also brought to the conversation the fourth archetype, which was magician. And this made sense because of the value proposal that the organization had exposed to the people joining to the newcomers, really. And this was very important because the sort of the aspirational aspect of their speech was in that magician archetype that came through in the results.
Okay, because you were looking both at what is the current culture and what are the positives, or what are the shadow traits of that we're muscling through, as well as then where are we going? What's the vision for the culture we're creating? So in that top four, tell us what it resonated for the client.
Yes. Well, we supported when we showed a report, right? Yeah. Not only we shared the actual CultureTalk report itself, but also we offer an analysis, right? With this, as I said, this are cultural assessment.
Okay.
Combining all of the different tools that we had used. So when we showed the archetypes as a result of the survey, we not only showed the results, but also we combined it with certain quotes that came in the different individual interviews, or quotes that came up in the conversations that had space in the focus groups.
Yeah.
So we showed the strengths and the shadows of each of the archetypes with this, more quality tools, which was the quotes.
Awesome. And so they saw themselves.
They absolutely, yes, definitely.
And
definitely.
I'll go to that statement you made at the beginning. Like, that's an amazing process when people go, oh, I see us. This is us. Because now it was amazing to that common ground. Ultimately, what were you, where did you go from there? So you had a profile now. You had a profile that people in the company could buy into and say, this is us. What did you, so what? What did you do with that information?
Yeah. Okay. So in the first place, just for us to be clear, when this analysis and the report and everything, we had a workshop with the top management. That is important because the leaders of the company were the ones to receive this information in the first place. So that's something very important, because the message we wanted to give to the rest of the organization was the aspiration, was the desired culture. We wanted to give them that information and not the whole, not the kitchen, as we say in Spanish. In Spanish, we say not the kitchen, where you cook, not where you cook, but final dish, to say it in a way. So one thing that was very important in this validation, that was excellent, because they could resonate and they connected with the archetypal profile, was to use, in the each of the archetypes has like a catchphrase, right?
Okay.
For example, the hero is bring it on. So from that point, the whole explanation was also easier, because this top management, they didn't have the relation that we already had with the archetypes. We had to bring the information, the results, and the explanation all together. So this catchphrase. So here I've got like a little note. So I've got the hero, bring it on, or the sage, to know is to grow. Okay, so it was easy for them then to listen to the quotes that came from the analysis of their strengths and shadows. Sorry, so I wanted to make that clear.
Yeah. So it just those short phrases, isn't that amazing? Sometimes just the name of that pattern, the archetype, and those really short phrases is enough information to get people into the conversation.
Yes, definitely. So what we did was to understand, and they validated our analysis. We also brought different graphics, etc., from the focus groups, in which we asked the participants to tell us how they saw the leadership, the communication, the innovation, different aspects that were important to this organization. We asked for, in a little, like Kahoot, Kahoot, a little game.
Okay.
And they could answer easily. So we.
Well, you just went away. Hold on. Your voice went away for 1 second. Say that last part again.
Okay, sorry. Can you hear me now? Okay. So what we did was a little activity in which, in a very easy way, people during the focus group, they could answer how they saw or how they were experiencing the leadership, the communication, the innovation, different aspects, different dimensions that we knew were important for this organization. So we also brought that to the conversation. So all in all, this top manager.
Oh, you just went away again for a second.
Oh my God. Hello? Hello?
All in all, I'm up to that part. Go ahead.
All in all, the top management first digested the information. So we facilitated conversations for them and to understand, am I okay? Because if not, okay, excellent. So they could talk about it. What do you do when you receive all this information of your own organization? Okay, let's talk about it first. So we let them digest at a point, and then there was another workshop, not on the same date, another day. We set another date and another meeting, another workshop, in which what they needed to develop, what they were lacking in terms of what they wanted to see in their organization. Okay. And that's how they sort of embraced.
You're going away again. You're going. I don't know if maybe it's your headset. Is it? No. Now you're completely gone. Let's see. No. Well, just another technical difficulty. We'll keep going. Can you?
Hello?
Oh, you're back. You're back.
Okay.
Back. Thank you.
Well, strengths and shadows of being virtual. We can be in Denver and Buenos Aires, but we can have a. Am I okay there?
You are great.
Okay.
You are great.
Just because I wanted to set this clear. sometimes it's easier, right, to develop potentiate, is that a word in English? To potentiate, to make it better, to enhance what you already have.
Enhance.
Enhance what you already have.
Right.
Rather than starting from scratch. So this top management embraced the strengths of their own archetypes, and thought of how they could, promote what they wanted to enhance in the organization with what they already have.
Right.
And then think of 2 archetypes to develop.
Oh, okay.
Right. And this was the desired culture. So, embracing what we have and what we want to honor and what we want to keep from what we already are, and then develop what we want to see in the organization. And this was, we want to develop explorer because we want to be innovative, right? And the other one was caregiver.
Okay.
Because they didn't want the team, right? Because they are so importantly heroes, they didn't want the team to be forgotten. So that's why they decided to develop.
How do we shift a little bit from that urgent, get it done, bring it on kind of culture into something where we're taken care of it's a little gentler? Yeah, that makes sense. So you have this project is ongoing. There are still new things coming out. Do you want to give a shout out to anybody, Sol, who's still there and working on that?
Oh yes, because oh my God, the best team ever. We've got Rick Niveiro, and Laura Patron. I'm pronouncing it in English, but actually it's Ricardo Niveiro with an Argentinian accent.
Say it. I like it.
Yeah, Ricardo Niveiro, Laura Patrone, Agostina Pedroni, Carol Zambrano. And this is a mixed culture team because Carol is in Colombia. Agos lives in Mar del Plata, which is a city in Argentina, but not, in the capital city. Laura, she lives in Buenos Aires. And Rick, he lives in Cordoba, which is another city of Argentina. So this whole process was virtual all the time. And the company is in Colombia. So it was, all the time, it was challenging, but at the same time, so properly in energy. It was excellent. And actually we developed really nice bonds, personal wise with the people of the company between us. And, so really. That's incredible team. And let me add something else, that what we did with this work, with all this, with the archetypes, with the desired culture, because we wanted to translate this to the company without the whole, background of the archetypes. We translated the archetypes of the desired culture into cultural principles, right? So, for instance, caregiver is be kind. Simple as that. And then, there are certain behaviors that associate with the be kind principle. Then be magic, which is magician. Be magic. What does it mean? Okay, it means blah, blah, blah. So it was, developing and translating this. So nowadays, what I know is that they are going to have their offices intervened with these principles. And we also kept the same colors as the archetypes.
As the icon.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So to bring it all together and translate the desired culture into principles and principles into specific behaviors that we are as a team collectively moving towards to get where that desired culture is. So
Yes,
what,
absolutely.
having gone through the M&A work, having gone through kind of integrating culture and finding that common ground, what do you think, what's next for you in terms of archetype assessment? Do you have thoughts about where you might take it next?
Yes, absolutely. I think that at a personal level, it is, as we said, so powerful that I would really like to bring it to, the alignment of different top managements. I think it is a very important tool that we can use for people, especially in new groups, especially in new teams, for them, for the members of the team to understand their own storylines, to understand how they can connect, what they share, what differentiate them, what differentiates it. Well, I cannot pronounce it. See, I'm sorry, I'm stuck for words. What their differences are, what they share, how they can connect, how they can be better as a team,
right?
Understanding what's best in each of them. So I think in that sense, archetypes are incredibly useful and powerful.
Awesome.
Definitely.
I love to see that when it's ready, when you're ready for that next phase. I totally appreciate your jumping on with us this morning to share what your experience has been in using archetypes. And I wanted to let anyone who's with us know we actually have just announced our next certification session. It's going to be kicking off on January 10th. It's an 8-week online class, 2 hours each week. You get to meet awesome consultants, coaches, in-house leaders and teams from around the world. I think we're in 17 countries now. So it also has that cultural aspect to it. And you get to see how archetypes provide this framework for change and transformation. So, so good to see you.
Thank you so much. I connect with every word you said, and it's a very, very incredibly important experience. I do promote for everyone to be certified. I love it. And the impact it had in my life was so important, was so big, that even because of my latent archetype is that I made the decision to change my life professionally wise. So just that little message.
Thank you.
It really impacted me in a good way. Thank you so much. I love archetypes.
Collaborate with you. I'll drop the link to our January class underneath this video, and reach out to Solar Eye if you have questions about this conversation.
Of course. Thanks for the invitation. I love it. Mwah.
Have a beautiful
See you next month.